Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is the rivers of the world. What a wonderful topic, rivers. Incredible manifestation of nature. Everybody loves rivers. You go to a river and it's nice to watch the water flowing by, and of course the ships and boats and so forth. And of course, they've been very important for life. Water is such a vital part of life, and so rivers have always been important in history. And people have liked to live near rivers if they're living away from the ocean, because you can get water, and for transportation. A lot of major cities are on rivers, and in fact, inland, away from oceans, it's the fastest way to travel on land, or in the old days before automobiles. And for example, in American history, as the settlers moved west, they were traveling on foot, by horse and wagon, and it was pretty slow. But once they got to Pittsburgh on the Ohio River, then they could speed up their trip and moving on the Ohio River to Cincinnati. Of course, that's only if you're going downstream. If you're going upstream, it's going to be a lot tougher. The rivers are wonderful, and of course, this is where when it rains, the part of nature where the water drains. All the water ends up flowing into rivers, which flow into lakes, or eventually into the oceans of the world, and then you have precipitation, where it goes back into the ocean, into the atmosphere. Okay, so let's get started. Now we'll go in generally from longest rivers to a little bit shorter. And the longest river in the world is the Nile. Of course, the Nile is so famous, right, because of ancient Egypt. It's so cool because it's in the Sahara Desert, right? So you have this, they used to call Egypt the gift of the Nile, and up till now, I think 90% of Egyptians live fairly close to the Nile River. And so it's wonderful history there because of ancient Egypt. Real cool, because then you have the pyramids, right, in the desert there, and you have the Sahara Desert by the Nile. Wonderful river, amazing. Okay, the Amazon, the Amazon River in Brazil, mostly in Brazil, some other countries of South America, I think into Colombia and Ecuador and Peru. But this is, of course, the Amazon. What it's so exotic. All these different species of animals, of fish and then wildlife in the Amazon rainforest. So that would be a fun thing to do, to take an Amazon River cruise. In fact, that would be, in any of these, this is one of the things you can do today. You can go on an ocean cruise, which is one thing, or a river cruise. Then you're going to really see stuff, passing by as you're on your trip. Anyway, the Amazon is amazing because of this tremendous rainforest and all the wildlife there. The Amazon. Okay, the third, the Yangtze, which is like the Mississippi of China, or you could say the Mississippi is the Yangtze of America. Anyway, the Yangtze is an east-west river. It has some major cities like Shanghai, Wuhan, Chongqing, and so forth, and maybe, I think, Nanking. It flows into the East China Sea. Yeah, this is the main artery in China, and for transportation and so forth, and very, very important river for Chinese history. The Yangtze. Okay, the Mississippi. Yeah, of course, I'm an American, so the Mississippi River is an incredible river, huge. In fact, most of the U.S. is drained by the Mississippi River system, which includes we'll talk about some of the tributaries. Mississippi River emptying into the Gulf of Mexico and goes all the way up north into Minnesota. I think Minneapolis is even on the Mississippi. Yeah, and so, of course, it's famous from Mark Twain's books about Huckleberry Finn traveling on the Mississippi. Yeah, up and down the Mississippi. So it's a wonderful river, and it'll be fun to take a trip. Goes in. Of course, this is why New Orleans, any of these, you have the port cities, the cities which are near the ocean, on the river. Very important. In this case, New Orleans, that's why it's such an important river. And in American history, control of the Mississippi was so important because farmers would to get their crops to the eastern markets needed to get to the Mississippi, down to the Gulf of Mexico, New Orleans, and around to the East Coast. Mississippi. Okay, the Yenisei River in China. One of the now the Russians. Yeah, I always call the Russian rivers to nowhere, because they generally empty into the Arctic Ocean, which is frozen most of the year. So you go to what are you going to do in the Arctic, right? Because it's so, it's not navigable most of the year. I think probably 9 months of the year frozen. So these, one of these rivers that flows north into the Arctic. So that's one of the real hardships the Russians have had. And why Peter the Great wanted to get the forever quest for warm water ports so they could have international trade, because the Arctic isn't very practical for trade. And so Peter the Great, that's why he wanted to get ports on the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea. The Yellow River in China. This is the secondary river of China. I think it's in the north. The Yellow River in China, again flowing east-west, flowing into the East China Sea. The Yellow River. The Ob in Russia. Ob, another river to nowhere, or going to the Arctic. Although, to be honest, it would be interesting, to take, in the summer, take an Ob River cruise. And if, not especially with global warming, the Arctic would be kind of interesting to go to the Arctic when it's thawed and see what it's like up there in the Arctic. Rio de la Plata. Now this is Buenos Aires, Argentina is really, I believe, near the mouth. Rio de la Plata, and it's in English a river of silver, I believe. And actually, what's interesting about the Rio de la Plata, it goes all the way up to Asuncion, Paraguay. So actually, you think of Paraguay's a landlocked country, but you can travel by ocean ship all the way up to Asuncion, Paraguay. So this is in South America. Rio de la Plata. Okay, the Congo. Wow. The mighty river of Africa, the great river, another aside from the Nile, in Central Africa, kind of like the Amazon, tropical, real hot, tropical, and this would be very tragic from the history in the Belgian Congo. And actually, I was thinking this would be one of the toughest trips if you wanted to take a Congo River trip, because of all the political and civil war in that part, in that area, and different rebel groups you'd have to deal with. But the Congo River, of course, has a... And I think there was a river, there was a movie with, what's his name, Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, I believe, The River Queen. I'm pretty sure that was on the Congo. Fascinating. It'd be very interesting to go on the Congo. Okay, the Amur. There's another Russian river. I believe, the Amur... that goes into the Sea of Okhotsk. I like saying that word, Okhotsk. And that's pretty good, because the Sea of Okhotsk... it might be a little bit I know it gets pretty cold, but it's definitely, more open, more ice-free, more months of the year. So that's a lot more practical. Over in the eastern Siberia, the Amur River, excuse me. Okay, the Lena, another Russian Siberian river. Well, I'm not sure if it's Siberian, emptying into the Arctic as well. I kind of like it because it was my great-grandmother's name was Magdalene. They called her Lena. Another river flowing north into the Arctic in Russia. The Mekong in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. Famous in the Vietnam War, the American soldiers were traveling up and down the Mekong in there, along with the Vietnamese in their daily lives. And there's one of these movies where the guy came out of the jungle, threw a spear, and hit a American soldier right in the chest. In this movie. And so the Mekong River was well known for Americans during the Vietnam War, American soldiers. The Niger River, now that would be in West Africa, and you have Nigeria and the country of Niger. Again, one of the major rivers of Africa, West Africa. The Brahmaputra in India. And Brahma has the name Brahma, which is, I believe, another name for God. So the Holy Land of India, the Brahmaputra. The Volga in Russia, emptying into the Caspian Sea, which has the city of Volgograd, which was named after the Volga during the communist era, called Stalingrad. So and then, of course, that movie, Enemy at the Gates. So which was based on the German attack on Stalingrad during the Second World War. The Volga River, and that would be kind of cool to take going to the Caspian Sea. That's kind of it would be an interesting place to go to. The Indus River in Pakistan, flowing into the Arabian Sea. Now the Indus River, of course, it's in Pakistan. So this kind of proves that Pakistan was once part of India, because the Indus River, pretty sure, is grammatically connected to India. Indus River of Pakistan. The Euphrates in Iraq. ancient, of course, going back to ancient Sumeria and the Fertile Crescent between, we'll talk about its twin river. Anyways, has a lot of ancient history, and the Euphrates River in Iraq, and of course, with the U.S. war in Iraq, that also became relevant to American troops. The Yukon River in Alaska, flowing into the Bering Sea. Well, going kind of like the Russian rivers, although the Bering Sea would be in the west, and although close to the Arctic Ocean. The Rio Grande between Texas and Mexico. U.S. and Mexico on the border, where a lot of these Mexican immigrants would, swim across the Rio Grande, and they got this unfortunate name, wetbacks, because they would be wet from swimming. The Rio Grande. So that's a lot of rivers are borders between country, including the Rio Grande, which in English means the Great River. The Danube, in German, the Donau, and there's the famous, this is in Romania, Austria, other countries, flowing into the Black Sea. Yeah, so there's the famous song, the Blue Danube, or in German, the Blaue Donau. Yeah, so this is a very important river in Europe, in more of Central Europe, and a lot of, I'm sure there are river cruises you could take on the Danube. It has the famous song, the Blue Danube, which is a wonderful song. Okay, the Zambezi. Now this is getting into southern Africa. And you have the country of Zambia, I'm pretty sure is named after the Zambezi, another great African river. The Ganges in India. This is the holy river for Hindus. And they believe, this is very, very important to them. They say that if you go swimming in the Ganges or bathing in the Ganges, your sins will be washed away. But they say that that your sins are like monkeys. That when you go in your bad habits, when you go in the Ganges, these monkeys of bad habits go in the trees. But then when you get out of the Ganges, they're back on you. Anyway, so for Hindus, this is a holy river, and they want to be and flowing into, this is more going toward eastern India, Bangladesh, the Bay of Bengal. Pretty sure let's see here. So they believe, they save their money. A lot of Hindus in India save their money so that when they die, they can have their ashes scattered in the Ganges River. So it's revered by Hindus, the Ganges River. The Dnieper River, flowing into the Black Sea, the Dnieper. So that's another one of those Russian rivers. The Ohio River. Now we're here in Ohio, state of Ohio, named after the Ohio River, which flows south, and that would be cool to take a trip between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati on the Ohio River. And the Ohio River is maybe the major tributary to the Mississippi, and flows into the Mississippi. There's a branch, a fork. It starts by Pittsburgh and then flows, I think, by Cairo, Illinois. It flows, around that area, flows in, empties into the Mississippi River. It's a very important part of the Mississippi River system. The Tigris in Iraq, which is the sister river, you could say, of the Euphrates, the Tigris and Euphrates. And of course, between these two rivers was called the Fertile Crescent, or at least the eastern part, arcing over toward Egypt, and in ancient times where there was, historians have theorized that farming began in that area, the Tigris. The Don River in Russia. Now this is more hopeful, or you could say better, because it flows into the Sea of Azov, which is a part of the Black Sea. So and if you get into the Black Sea, that'll take you over to the Mediterranean. So the Don will take you somewhere. You're not going to be stuck in the Arctic when you get on the Don. On the Don River. The Platte River in the United States. This is part of the Mississippi River system, flows into the Missouri, which flows into the Mississippi, and the Platte's a relatively minor river, you could say. Although I spent some time in Kansas, and I remember we came to the Platte River one day. Okay, the Dniester kind of reminds me of the Dnieper. Yeah, those two seem to go together. This is in the Ukraine, former Soviet Union, again flowing into the Black Sea. The Dniester. The Krishna River in India, very interesting, flows into the Bay of Bengal. The Krishna River. Of course, the great saint king of India. Just amazing. Maybe, this would be about, I think 6,000, maybe 8,000 years ago, going way back. Kind of tough to study the life of Krishna. Maybe not that long ago, maybe 6,000 years ago. But anyway, the Krishna River, cool. The Elbe in Germany, flowing into the North Sea. One of the great German rivers, the Elbe. Okay, the Rhine River. Now this is really the great German river, and they have the so-called Rhineland. And yeah, there's a lot of famous cities, and I know they have Rhine River cruises which you can take. The famous German, the Rhine River, the Vistula in Poland, flowing into the Baltic Sea as well, which is pretty good. Baltics, you can go from the Baltic to the over to the Atlantic Ocean. The Gambia River. Now you have the country called the Gambia, which is surrounded by the Gambia River, and which is also the whole country is surrounded by Senegal. This is in West Africa, flowing into the Atlantic. The Oder River in Poland, flowing into the Baltic. When we were kids, we'd study the Oder River. A lot of jokes about the Oder River in Poland. Not very politically correct now, though. The Loire River, Loire, in France. This is a major French river flowing into the Atlantic. The Seine, of course, Paris is on the Seine. A lot of these famous cities are on rivers, and of course Paris is one of the very glamorous. So if you go to Paris, you see the river goes through the city. I think the Notre Dame, the famous cathedral with Quasimodo and famous novel Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think that's fairly near the Seine River in Paris. The Thames River in London, Thames, the Thames, London on the Thames, another famous river because London is internationally so famous. The British Empire, the Thames River, the Pasig River in Manila. Yeah, the Pasig. Not that long, but certainly it drains all the heavy rain and rainy season in Manila. You get all this rain, eventually headed toward the Pasig River and flowing into Manila Bay, which is connected to the Pacific Ocean, the South China Sea rather, to the western part of Luzon Island. And Pasig River. In fact, this is where you have in Tagalog the word for river is ilog, and they called the Filipino people, people around Manila would be called the people of the Taga-Ilog, the people of the Pasig, the people of the river, and the Pasig River. And this is where you have the Tagalog region and the Tagalog language, of course, because Manila has been dominated Philippine history and politics. The Cuyahoga River here in Cleveland. Yeah, flows into Lake Erie. Yeah, part of my outro for these Cleveland baseball videos, Captains of the Cuyahoga. Yeah, the Cuyahoga River, it actually bends around. It starts up, I think, way east, comes down south, and comes up here to Cleveland, where it empties into Lake Erie in the Great Lakes, which themselves empty into eventually the Atlantic Ocean, the St. Lawrence Seaway. The San Juan River. This is one of the tributaries to the Pasig. We lived in fairly, we would see the San Juan River from time to time, or actually some of the tributaries. I know this park we used to go to, and Roosevelt Park has a canal, which I'm sure is connected to the San Juan River. We actually lived in another place in New Manila, Quezon City, which had another canal, which I'm pretty sure was connected to the San Juan River. I'm sure there are other San Juan rivers in these former Spanish colonies. St. John, the disciple, was with Jesus Christ at the crucifixion, the only one who had the courage to be there. Okay, the Yalu River between China and Korea, another river that serves as a border between two countries, the Yalu. And a lot of the Koreans trying to get out of North Korea, this between North Korea and China, they try to cross the Yalu to get into China and try to escape from the hard lives that they have in North Korea, and eventually make their ways around China and back into South Korea, where they could hopefully live. The Hudson River, New York City. Yeah, the Hudson River, named famous. So there's another famous city on a river and named after Henry Hudson. If you go north up to in the Hudson, you get to the Erie Canal, and then go west on that. That'll take you to Lake Erie. And finally, the Charles River, which is where Boston is. Boston, Massachusetts. Charles River. I know they have Harvard. They have these Harvard rowing team that enjoys going on the Charles and doing their practice and also their competitions. So the rivers of the world, fascinating topic. Yeah, it'd be fun, when you think about these rivers, and it'd be fun to take. I've never done it. Take a river cruise. It'd be really fun to do that, to see the sights. So anyway, good luck to you with your efforts in studying history, or learning so many interesting things to learn about, and certainly rivers are very, very important. Have played a very important part in world history. Anyway, you might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History, with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Oh, I forgot one river, the Potomac River, Washington, D.C. Of course, that's so cool, because the Potomac, you have, I think, the Jefferson Memorial is just near the Potomac, and the Lincoln Memorial as well. So that's certainly a very important river, the Potomac River in Washington, D.C., flowing into the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, thank you.